Coach of the year, Coach Moon of the Shanghai
First,
Dragons.
well done.
First of all, congratulations.
Yep. Well, much deserved. Yep. Guys, how did this 22-year-old do it? Build this Oh, they have rich parents, right? Yeah, that's it. Moon's career. So, okay.
Let it be said, coaches who work for organizations that have more money and are willing to invest more than others don't deserve to be coach of the year. That's what that's what Yiska is saying here. Is if you have a lot of money, you can't be a good coach of the year because you can buy good players.
I'm saying rich people don't deserve rights, but
Jesus. I'm looking at Kate's restricted stock units for who she works for right now, and I go, crap, we're gonna lose our rights one day because golden handcuffs, man.
So, okay. I think Moon was definitely one of the best coaches this season. It's undeniable that a coach that leads a team to such a dominant performance cannot be an atrocious one, right? That said, this smells like every BS American Sports League Coach of the Year award, where you just vote best team, best coach. And I really wonder what the measurement stick are that people use. Okay, so let's think of what coaches should be doing. I quite like my my measurement stick of resources given to value created, right? Mm-hmm. If we look at resources given to value created, then it's either Cookie, Packing, or Rush that stand out as like the top performance. Okay? Even if you don't believe that is a good measurement, then if you go, who actually wins a lot with their team, you look at Krusty and you look at Moon, who have probably almost identical records in terms of like tournament titles this season. Yeah, okay, one of them didn't get first in this league, whatever, right? Like minor did. Give that to Moon, whatever. The difference is that Moon didn't have to give up an Overwatch MVP mid-season and didn't have to downsize his roster considerably. Nope. Lowering their expenses at the same time. And the dominance continues throughout the hardships. Now, I think that is quite a bit more impressive than
I agree.
Than what's happening there. Now, let's also look at what do you mean by coach of the year, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think we have really good insight into what each coach contributes, right? We're focusing a lot on the personality of Moon. Realistically, what we're all only able to judge is how good is Shanghai Dragons coaching staff.
Yeah, I don't think most people are concerned about the personality of Moon so much as they like correlate good team to good coach, which isn't wrong, but I think there are better candidates to your point.
There's also a good question in chat, which is, did Paris not have high resources given to their team? Yes, with the added caveat that they also had to absolutely keep a couple of the players around because they were on 2+1s. They couldn't have made the moves, the radical moves that everyone was making. And those players were most definitely not the top ranking players that remained on the Shanghai Dragons from season 2 to season 3. That's where, like, arguably Rush has coached them towards. And when I say Rush, once again, I mean the entire coaching staff, right? So, we also have to consider limitations. So optionalities in these respective parts. Like, to me, I think to a degree, like, the freedom that you have determines, like, the responsibility you can should be taking on, and the resources that you are given in a major way determines your competitive success.
Yeah, I think so.
The fact that Packing outperformed the Gladiators is crazy.
Yeah.
And like, maybe you'd say, okay, that's part Packing, part Gladiators underperforming, probably something true there. But like,
Sure.
I don't know if people realize what the magnitude or what the multipliers are in terms of like what the resources for these teams. Like, one guy coaches 2 esports, regularly gets to sell off like top 10 level talent, has to rebuild, like takes basically no buyout personnel, raises them up to a level like that can mess with some of the top teams sometimes in some metas, which is crazy already. While we all thought they were going to be one of the worst teams this year going into it. Now, of course, we have to temper a little bit. KSP wasn't announced when we all voted, yada yada. Nobody of you got them over 15 other than Custa anyway. So like, that has to be weighed against something. And I feel like we're weighing this is recency bias printed all over it, where it's like, yeah, we kind of knew that, like, they just like were a good team and they just, dude, that like half of those team, nobody believed in these players anymore. Or like, okay, so KSP is a great talent. Why does nobody else have him then? That we're slinging money around like willy-nilly. Like, you got coaching is part of the
scouting,
the value.
Coaching.
Yeah, is part of the value that coaching staff creates. So I understand if you don't say Packing. I understand, for instance, like if you want to say Rush, also because he got to win a tournament, or if you want to say Cookie because they finished higher and had like maybe a little bit more of a stable performance. I'm with you on that. I just think that is more impressive than like getting 12 of the best players, or getting like 10 players who are all top 5 in their positions to dominate a 7-man region that is very high level, but also like we don't know how high.
To remotely defend Moon for a moment, if we were to put a price tag on this roster and put similar price tags on other teams in the league, at least he spends his money well.
Yeah, but
gives you results, right?
It's like,
that's where
I don't think,
man, this is
nobody has
actually tilting me, because you're discounting Moon because he did his job right and well and just had more resources to do it. Like, that's, you can't take that away from him. This isn't who performed preseason power ranking coach of the year. Yeah. That's not what this is. This is ultimately the coach of the year. He comes in I think he came in around I want to say September of 2019. Sure. Signs Fleta, Lip, Void, Stand, Legion, and Fearless.
Right.
Like, if coaches don't get,
that's like 3 times the payroll of.
I know, I understand.
Valiant right there, but okay. Yeah.
But at this point, he's making the case for it.
Yes.
And he got you the results for it.
Yep.
He brought the talent. Like, he
detracted the talent. That's fair.
He attracted it. There has to be at some point where, when we are really harsh on coaches for the failures, for underperforming, for not signing the right players, for not keeping the team together, for not, you have to then give that to the coach who did do those things.
Yes.
Moon did all those things. He didn't do these things wrong or wrong enough to disqualify him from this. I think that it is like, I think that you've got, arguments for, sure, Krusty. I think he had to face a lot of adversity in doing that. And I think especially if they walk away being the Overwatch League Season 1 champions, I think that, or Season 3 champions, I think that you walk away scratching your head a little bit about, like, should that have been Krusty? Right now, Shanghai, I think, are the favorites. I think most people are in the camp of agreeing that, except for crazy Joe Schmo footballs. Just kidding.
Joe Sports Ball over here. Hello.
Yeah, except for crazy Joe over here. And I think that, like, I think everything you're saying, Yiska, is right and valuable, and we should make an award for a coach who embodies what you're talking about. But I don't think that that's what Coach of the Year is.
I understand that that's your definition, and it's like I totally respect that. Like that's sort of like the second category. I then like because the accolades to me that Krusty and Moon had feel very similar. That's where I am then confused that you don't give it to Krusty. Probably like this is to me it feels like being like the defending champion works against him here, where people are like,
I agree.
Fatigued.
We don't want to give him another award.
I agree. And I'm not saying that. Honestly, Moon probably isn't my choice. I think Krusty probably is my choice.
Has to be. I think if you're
to be honest, I haven't given it a lot of thought because that's not who I am. But like, talking about, these coaches like Kuki and Packing who performed really well and did a lot with what they were given, which was kind of middle of the table. You take kind of middle of the table resources and you elevate it to, a top 5, 6 team, 7, whatever you want to, whatever scale you want to use. Really amazing, really incredible. I don't know what that award is. I don't know how we recognize those coaches and talents. Honestly, I want to say part of it is you guys doing more of what you do best and highlighting that in the middle of the season so that it wouldn't be lost on the average viewer or watcher. That's on the Overwatch League on if they want the Packings and the Cookies to be recognized for these types of awards. Honestly, if Packing got it, I'd be confused as an average viewer.
Sure, yeah.
That'd be confusing to me.
Yep.
Do you think the viewers would be confused if the paywalls of every team were public?
No. I think that would be probably baked into the broadcast a lot. I think that'd be a gigantic talking point. Like, as disingenuous as it is, I can just see the team 1 and team 2 with price tags attached to them, and then the wins next to them. Like, I don't know. Look at this guy and look at this guy. One team won, one team didn't. What happened here? That you can already start to see those narratives being built, and that starts to seep into the nomenclature and the understanding of the general viewer. And then Coach of the Year becomes much.
Did we get
at least you have another kind of a say what?
Did we get Overwatch League shoulder content about Coach of the Year candidates? I know that we got one for Moon maybe 2 days ago. I know that transforming Shanghai into dragons. But did we get? Did we get? Because part of that is in the storytelling,
right?
As well. I mean, if we had these conversations, if we had this shoulder content, if we had, we took a halftime or we took a break and talked about the different coaches and coaches of the year and why they are maybe deserving and what we are wanting this award to be and defining by, but. The book is pretty straightforward that, it's good teams who perform well and their teams have good things to say about them as a coach.
Yeah, I don't think to kind of YouTube chat and jumping in front of that, I don't think Yiska's saying, and maybe he can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's saying that Moon shouldn't be on the ballot. He's just not who he would pick.
Right.
That's not a complete discredit.
There's one factor that also contributes to my belief, which is I feel like the coaching staff with Shanghai Dragons actually made it harder for themselves by questionable substitutions than it needed to be. A lot of the series that they had to snatch from the jaws of defeat probably wouldn't have had to go there in the first place.
I don't disagree there. It wasn't the most optical, but I think Valiant had a few of those weeks as well where you're like, what the f are they doing? I think we did. Yeah. I mean, we saw that, and we ultimately saw the justifications around it with stuff like where's Rascal this year? Where's Sinatra? And all that kind of stuff. And again, there's justifications and reasons. In the same way, we should assume that there's justifications and reasons on the Shanghai side as well. We just know some of them. Very true. We know some of them. We don't know some of them.
That's very true. Yeah.
I don't think that there's any team that I can think of that's played perfectly to what having listened specifically, I'll just talk to you, Yiska, on how
Mhm.
you would have played them with the information that you had. I don't think that there's a
Right.
single roster that came even close. I can think of times where Mayhem has been, you've been there. Obviously, we've had Outlaws on that. Gladiators, I don't know if we've actually talked about Gladiators specifically. Outside of the teams that had no other choice but to play the players what they play, when you have a deep
Right.
roster and you have substitutions, I think every single one has had some pretty questionable externally as a fan choices on who they actually end up fielding.
Yeah. And it's also like resources extend past like coaching salaries and player salaries, but also in the setups that the respective organizations can also provide, like everything in the environment. Like it's not a coincidence that a lot of the high spending teams also having top performing rosters, right? Like it's not an as perfect model anymore as it once was, but it is pretty close with notable outliers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, that's just.
I get it. I also think that we saw Alarm get Rookie of the Year. You gave
Flood
it to an
getting
NA.
MVP.
You gave it to NA. So you give this to.
I hope that had nothing to do with it.
I
Please,
bet
God.
you-
Oh my God.
I bet you
God, please.
$1,000.
Oh, I'm so tired.
$1,000 regions absolutely had to do with how they awarded this out.
Dude, like these
$1,000.
participation medals, get away from me, dude.
I don't disagree there.
Oh yeah, there's like.
But if
don't give
let's say you had
Roadstars
Moon
an
and Krusty,
the MVP,
let's say you had Moon and
or
Krusty
All-Star.
Mhm.
right here, and you're in the league office, and you have everything 50-50. You kind of get down to like the fourth tiebreaker here is like, well, which region has less awards
See,
right now?
I'd be much
so-
more agreeable with like the voter fatigue of giving it to like the same coach. I don't
Dude,
think it
like,
had much to do with the
I'll tell you
region.
straight
That
up,
could be two.
if there was
That's a good
there
point.
was a coach of the year debate between Krusty and Moon, and one of us was to host it, that wouldn't go over well for Moon.
No.
Talking about
No.
Overwatch with Krusty.
No.
I can tell you that straight up. Moon is a charismatic character that has high levels of knowledge in Overwatch, probably, but is not like the strategic type that comes in.
Yeah.
Like Krusty is like, he's like the full package.
No. He is the greatest Overwatch coach we will probably ever see.
Yep.
He is the greatest Overwatch League coach currently. Remember, Stage 3 of 2018, the Boston Uprising had a perfect stage with who as the head coach? Krusty.
Yeah.
Goes to Shock,
After
wins a title.
losing one of the
And that's the entire thing, dude.
players, too.
Like we're getting to a point. Today I wrote like a GOAT
Candidate.
like a candidate article, and how many of these people have not been recognized in any way by these awards tilts me off the planet, bro.
No
like
arguments.
we're playing them so badly at this.
No arguments.
And once again, like
shoulder content, recognition.
yes.
There has to be more story building. There has to be more told about these players and these coaches and these things. And honestly, we should probably be doing more on the show too, to be bringing those stories to light. That's the off season, and during the season, maybe we should be taking a little bit more time to like, you know what? Let's not recap the games for a week, and let's actually talk about Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
I'll also straight up tell you this stuff where it's like, oh yeah, we can only have like 2 candidates per team for like, nah, dude. Nah. We don't share impressions for bad performances. This is not something we want to incentivize. You want an MVP vote on the ballot. You want a Roll Star. You buy the big players, my dudes. That's how it goes. And if Shock has literally their bench on the MVP ballot, you better be spending. That's how you incentivize it. This American commie sports culture also tilts me off the planet. Like,
to be fair, I personally think that's not an NA thing. That's a gaming thing. That's an inclusion thing.
I think that's
a feel good thing. That's almost like a Blizzard thing.
Yeah.
Like when can you find ways to be or at least appear to be more inclusive and inoffensive. If you believe that if you choose, because at the end of the day, right, if you have 10 candidates, there are only really, in most pools, only 3 real considerations. So does it really matter who the other 7 go to, especially if they're not doing shoulder content anyway? They're not highlighting those stories. Do you really get a different end result? As a justification, I don't personally believe that. I believe you should best tell the story in the case, and like it's disingenuous to fans to understand who the real great best players and organizations are. I'm not trying to say that at all. But that's a gaming thing. That's a Blizzard thing. Don't you dare try to put that on my country, because right now there's a lot of stuff you can. That ain't it. That ain't it.
That's fair. That's fair.